Hey guys, it's Kassy with MakingTimeForGiggles.com. I make videos all about simplifying mom life, and if that sounds like something you would like to see more of, go ahead and hit subscribe down below and ring the little bell next to it so you will be notified when the next one comes out. Today we are going to talk about smart ways to spend your tax return and stimulus check. I actually had another video filmed and ready for this week, but I decided to change it up because I think this is a bit more important for right now, since a lot of people will be getting their tax returns and or stimulus checks in the coming weeks. If you haven't been on my blog before, you may not know that when Ross and I got married, we had quite a bit of debt between us. But with a lot of teamwork and determination and really cutting costs a lot, we were able to get rid of the debt fairly quickly. One thing that really helped us do this was being very smart about our tax returns. Generally, our tax returns would come back to us pretty quickly because the government would see our income and think, oh wow, you guys need this a lot more than we do. Here you go. And we would have some money. When we would get our tax return, we were very intentional about what we would spend the money on. So I wanted to get this video out in case some of you are getting your tax returns and your stimulus checks and you aren't quite sure what the best option is to put the money toward right now, especially in these uncertain economic times that we are finding ourselves in. We're going to go through 3 options of how you can spend this money or save it, and what may be the best option for your situation. The first option for where you can put your money is towards your needs. I would suggest this for anybody who doesn't have a job right now, or maybe is just having a hard time making ends meet with all of the economic uncertainty and all of the craziness going on right now. For us, when we were in a tight financial situation, our needs constituted of 3 things: either our mortgage or rent. For us, it was rent at the time, basically making sure that we had a roof over our heads. The second thing that we considered a need was groceries. Putting food on the table obviously is important, and if you are having a hard time with that, I suggest putting all of the money into an account and only using it for groceries and feeding your family, especially in the upcoming months with all of the economic uncertainty due to the coronavirus right now. Make sure that your family is fed and that you have a roof over their head. Those are the 2 most important things. The third thing that we considered a need was our utilities, keeping the house warm enough and or cool enough. Water obviously is important as well, and basically anything that you need to keep your house running. One thing that's really nice right now, though, for this specific situation is that it's springtime, and in a lot of areas of the country, the weather is really nice. So you can open your windows and let the cool air in as opposed to running your air conditioning. So think of ways that you can reduce utilities while still using the money to pay for what you actually need. The second area I would suggest putting your money towards is any debt that you have. And when I say debt, I'm basically talking about 3 areas, and that is credit card debt, student loans, and car payments, or any other type of loan like that. You could include mortgage in there if you would like. We don't personally include mortgage because we are on one income, and it would just take a very long time for us to be able to pay off our mortgage. But if you would like to pay off your mortgage, obviously you could put that into that debt category as well. Now, a lot of people think that when you want to pay off your debt, you should pay off the highest interest debt first. And that is actually not the fastest or most efficient way to pay off your debt. What you want to do instead is pay off the loan that you have the smallest principal left on. Let's say, just for example, you have a $10,000 student loan, a $5,000 credit card loan, and a $2,000 car loan. The first thing you want to make sure you're doing is making the minimum payment on all of them. You don't want to be not paying your loans off at all. So make sure you're making the minimum payment. And then anything extra that you can afford, you want to put towards the smallest amount of principal. So in this example, it would be the $2,000 car payment. When that tax return comes or the stimulus check comes, you want to put that towards the car payment, and that will pay it down much more quickly. When that one is all paid down, you want to take the minimum payment that you were putting towards the $2,000 one and put it towards your $5,000 credit card payment now. And anytime you get a stimulus check or a tax return or a bonus at work or anything like that, you want to put that towards your credit card statement. When that one is paid off, you take the minimum payment from the $5,000 loan and the $2,000 loan, put that all into the $10,000 loan, and now you put any extra that you can afford, as well as any of those larger amounts of money that you get towards that large one, and it will all get paid down much more quickly. It's basically like a snowball effect, is the way that my husband explained it to me when we were initially talking about how we should pay off our debt. And he really wanted to do it this way. And I'm so glad he insisted on it, because it enabled us to pay off our debt much more quickly than if we had started with the large one. Plus, when you start with the large one, it's really disheartening. It can be incredibly discouraging because you make so little progress. Whereas when you start with the smallest one, you are able to check it off your list very quickly, and it feels good and you get excited, and it makes you want to continue to pay off that debt even more quickly. Now, I will say that this situation is slightly different just because of the economic uncertainty that is going on all around us. So instead of putting it towards debt right away, if that's what you're going to do, I would instead put it into a bank account for a couple of months, just to be sure that your job is safe and all of those other things are taking place, and you're able to put food on your table and a roof over your head and all of those other things before you pay down any debt. So for example, we have about $3,000 left on our car loan, and we were planning on just going to the bank and paying it off as soon as we got the stimulus checks. And then we were talking to our financial advisor, and he said, you know what? Right now, with the economy as uncertain as it is, it wouldn't hurt to hold on to it just for 2 or 3 months, see what happens. Hopefully it'll all be over by then and you can still just pay it off. But if something really changed and you lost your job and you needed that money, it's much better to just have it, be able to pay your mortgage with it or your groceries like we talked about with those needs, than having the money already spent. So just look at some of those things if you are paying off debt with it. See if it might be wise to just hold on to it for a couple months and see what happens with the economy. It also could depend on your interest rate. So we have about, like I said, $3,000 left on our loan, but our interest rate is crazy low at 2.5%. So it's only going to cost us about $20, a little bit less than that, to hold on to it for 2 to 3 months as opposed to paying it off. And his advice to us was just hang on to it and don't pay it off right this instant. See where things go, and then you can always pay it off again down the road. And if you decide to put it away and use it for debt in a couple of months, I just suggest putting it into a very safe account, maybe your even emergency savings or some form of savings account, so that you won't accidentally just whittle away at it by using it at the grocery store accidentally and things like that. It seems like whenever there's extra money that you don't tell it exactly where to go, it always just disappears. So be sure you put it in a safe place, in a secure bank account that you don't have a debit card attached to or something like that, so that it will be there ready for you when everything is good and you're ready to pay off that debt. The third thing that I would suggest you do with the money is to save it. If your needs are being met and you don't have any pressing debt, don't just blow this on something fun. Save it for something that is important. Put it away as an emergency savings account if you don't already have one of those set up. I recommend having 3 to 6 months saved up, and a year is really great if you can do that. But even if you can't put all of that in right away, start saving, start building it up, so that if something happens and you lose a job, you can still afford to pay for your house and your groceries and your utilities and all of those important needs that we talked about at the beginning. Another way to save the money is to put it in a college fund for your children. I highly suggest having a college account set up for each of your children. It doesn't have to be a lot, but even putting a little bit in will help them when they get to college and not have them go into as much debt as they would if you didn't have any money saved up. Another great savings account to have is a health savings account. And if you can get one of these through your insurance at work, I highly recommend it. We had one for years with our previous employer, and it was amazing. The benefits are so great if you can do it. Highly recommend it. And you don't lose the savings if you change employers and they don't offer it anymore. My husband's current employer does not offer it, but what we are going to do is open an account on our own and put in our yearly deductible into that account. So if something happens and we have a medical emergency, at least our deductible will be met and we won't be up a creek without a paddle. Once you have money in some of the more important accounts, you can open some fun savings accounts as well. One that we like to have is a trip account. We like to put some money when we can into an account that we can basically go on vacation with. And it's really nice to have that money set aside So when it is time for us to go on vacation, we don't have to feel guilty or like we are pulling money from a different area to pay for our vacation. Another fun account to have set up is a Christmas account. If you like to do big gifts for your immediate family, or if you like to do gifts for everyone in your entire family, it's really nice if you can save that money throughout the year as opposed to having it all come out in December. I hope you enjoyed this list of smart things to do with your tax return and stimulus check. Leave a comment down below if you have other ideas for how to spend your tax return and stimulus check. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you would like to see more videos on how to simplify mom life. I'm Kassy with MakingTimeForGiggles.com, and I'll see you next time.